get into the big topic of open source, something that we actually say at Red Hat.
We have a
This is so
we
awesome.
are an open culture that believes
actually
in
a big
employee
piece
What is that process that a developer, or let's say a
as the
developer,
Kubernetes ecosystem really boomed.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of In the Clouds. I am your host, Stu Miniman, and I don't know about you, but it sure feels like 2023 has been flying by. Here we are at November 17th, almost to Thanksgiving here in the United States, which means we will be flipping the calendar to December and deep into planning for 2024. So big thank you for joining us. A quick logistical note, we will have one more episode this year. I'm super excited for this one. On December 14th, I will be sitting down in our Boston studio at the Red Hat Executive Briefing Center with none other than the president and CEO of Red Hat, Matt Hicks. So Matt was on this program before I took over as host, but that was also before he was CEO. So really looking forward to it. Talk to Matt, of course, about open source and cloud. But the big topic of the day, artificial intelligence. So do try to join us for that one. It will be, it's our regular Thursday date, but it will be at 10 a.m. Eastern. So we will put the link in the chat here. So if you can join us there, that will be great. But let's put that aside because I am super excited for our conversation today. So I am happy to welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining Anush Dandapani. She is joining us from New York City, and she is the Chief Data and Analytics Service Officer at the United Nations International Computing Center, the UNICC, which supports the United Nations, which should need no introduction. Anusha, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Hey, thank you, Stu. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to our discussion.
So when I look at your title, and you've got data and you've got analytics, you've been at the United Nations UNICC for a few years now. Have to think, data and analytics that set you right up as really the catbird seat, as it were, for this discussion of AI that we're going to have. Before we get into that, though, could you just give the audience a little bit of your background, how you ended up in this position, and yeah, let's start there.
Sure. So I started my career as a traditional software engineer or a computer programmer. And that kind of gave me the flexibility to be industry agnostic. And over my initial path, or the phase one of my career, I ended up working for financial services, especially in their technology and the platform space. So I used to work for investment banks in their front office, middle office, back office. And it kind of got me into a stage where I went through a career midlife crisis, if you may want to put it that way. I ended up identifying that there is the Ikigai principle, right? Like, having three bubbles in your career, wherein, like, I had the domain expertise, I had the technical acumen. There was still this one bubble that was missing for me that I wanted to sort of figure out for myself. And I ended up identifying a wonderful program. I graduated from NYU, and that definitely gave me the missing bubble, or the component, what I call as the data science component. That definitely gave me the opportunity to fill the gap that was there in my resume. So I ended up focusing more beyond the technology into the data science and the AI world, and it helped me not only help my organization that I was part of in the past, but also gave me the opportunity to see how I can apply AI and data in a wider range of solving problems. So I ended up transitioning from financial services to United Nations International Computing Center. And in this role, my mandate is to build out our data and the analytics services and the support that we offer to our all the UN partner agencies, and making sure that we are not only bringing capabilities, but also enabling them with their data science and the AI needs. Yep. So that's why I'm here.
That is awesome. I love the charter for the UNICC is to help the United Nations, rapidly adopt as it goes digital. I know many people on the outside, they look at it and they're like, governments, limited budgets, often behind on technology. In my career in IT, I've gotten to work with local municipalities, government agencies, and the like, and it's an interesting dynamic because there's certain parts of the organization that actually tend to be kind of leading edge because they have specific use cases that they need. Obviously, the use of data in government is a huge opportunity, but is something that everybody's watching and trying to make sure that data is being used in the right way, and governance and security are all around that. So if you could give us a little bit, the UNICC, how do you look at emerging technologies? Where would you put the organization compared to kind of a typical enterprise as to adoption of where they are on kind of the latest and greatest today?
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps it is helpful for me to share this first up front. Yeah, see, our organization and our partner organization who we collaborate and work with, the maturity of their data and the AI capabilities is quite different. Yeah, it's like a big array of case. And our focus has always been that we want to meet them where they are and bring them to a transformative stage where they get to. Yeah. So this is a journey. We are very clear that this is not going to be, hey, Rome was not built in a day. And organizations like the UN, it's a long-term mindset. Yeah. So when it comes to our focus, is always capabilities and making sure that we foster our ecosystem. Yeah. When it comes to data and AI, in addressing or concentrating on the portfolios for data use cases, we look at our opportunity for us to tackle one time, and we do believe in learning by doing. Yeah, because not everybody has that sort of a Kickstarter or an accelerator as a possibility. So make sure that we focus on those foundational elements as UNICC, and we definitely consider ourselves as the organization who not only cost effectiveness to their partner agencies, but also bringing together this problem driven approach of focusing on creating frameworks that we can reuse across the board. Yeah, so data is the new oil, or it's been the oil for quite some time. For us, it's not just about enabling our organizations with data capabilities. It's more about how can we help them progress from where they are, and maturing their capabilities to help them leverage their data not only in their decision making process, but also for them to effectively solve problems using data. And how do we want to bring that to fruition to our partner agencies is the core of our work that we do at UNICC. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you could help tie in for us. Cloud computing been a big wave for more than a decade. You started talking a little bit about data. We kind of saw the wave of big data that came through. Data gravity is a huge issue for most companies as they think about their environment. So from a tooling standpoint, help us understand a little bit, what your organization is doing.
Yeah, Stu, we do operate with a principle of cloud first approach. What we mean by that is we want to be very specific in the kind of tools that we acquire and the kind of tools that we use and manage and also govern for our organization. Yeah, so we do believe that cloud first approach gives us the possibility to seamlessly integrate, and also because it's not one need that we see come through from our partner agencies, right? Like the need is diverse, and the technology stack that we work with is also very different for very different partner agencies that we work with. And we do believe that being an integrative partner and also focusing on cutting edge technology and giving them the possibility to use those technology and the tool set with a user focused mindset. Yeah, so we have to be very pragmatic about kind of tools that we bring into our ecosystem, and making sure that we are not only bringing the tools, but also enabling our colleagues. Yeah, because one thing is to uh, have those tool sets enabled and helping us solve the problem, especially with generative AI. We are offering these services with a user focused mindset, and making sure that we are building a culture wherein not only we are bringing tool sets, but we are also enabling or investing in our colleagues to upskill them, and making sure that the shifts are not happening overnight, as I said, right? Like it is a long term mindset, and our journey is long term, and our roadmap is also long term.
Yeah, I'm so glad you talked about some of the skill sets there, because for a long time we've had to worry about data and data security and data governance. Throwing AI into the mix now,
Yeah.
of course, is a whole another set of things that people need to be aware of. Can you talk a little bit more generative AI? This is less than a year now that most people have been looking at this, so what have been some of your discoveries? Where are you having some initial wins there? And, what do you see as your roadmap going forward?
So at this moment, if you were to look at it from an open source lens, right? Like, to understand where does open source fit? How do we see that in our landscape today? That landscape is upward trending. Yes, too. So we do see that open source models are not only game changing, they are rapidly evolving. And we want to make sure that we think through our approach and the design of how we are designing these AI solutions for our partner agencies. Yeah, what I mean by that, see, we have that pragmatic mindset that closed source. But what I mean by closed source is like, closed box models or black box models are still dominating the landscape. They will have that sort of initial acceleration, if you may, but the open source models will continue to be foundational in our design. We do see enterprise agencies, partner agencies, going through this approach of creating a model hub. We have explored open source models such as Hugging Face, and we have experimented with many sort of open source models. And what we do believe is that relying on open source models helps us in a cost effective way. It does help us build out a foundational infrastructure, but it also gives us the opportunity to iterate. Yeah, because we run a lot of experiments in our um, uh, data to make sure that we have the possibility and the flexibility of having the open source models in our stack. So we see this strengthening over time, but there is a long way for us to go.
And maybe if you could, we understand, of course, data is foundational component when it comes to AI. I had the opportunity. I used to go to some of the chief data officer events that MIT would hold annually, and
Mhm.
all talked about governance, control, everything like that. So
Yeah.
your chief data officer role, how do you see that morphing and changing with the advent of AI, and what are some of the kind of the challenges and opportunities there?
Um, I think that, see, the impact of AI is not just specific to an industry, and various industries are sort of not only impacted, I would say disrupted with the current impact of OpenAI and ChatGPT. But I do see that this is going to be a multifaceted evolution that we all will go through with this AI revolution. So because this is a revolution, there is a plenty of opportunities for us to evolve. Across various industries, yeah, because the combination of AI and cloud is not only disrupting our industry or our space, it's also creating opportunities for us to look at our problems that we were looking at differently. Yeah, what I mean by that is, for example, we do support our partner agencies with service and support. Yeah, so we do see that AI powered chatbots give us that opportunity to respond to our clients much better, and it also gives us the opportunity to understand how we can make our customer experience by reducing the time to response. And we do see that the efficiencies that we can bring it forth by using AI powered technology in our workflow. And something like, beyond chat gpt and AI chatbots, having things like predictive analytics and forecasting, because those are very very influential in the space where we are at. Because, for example, having forecasting approaches in our inventory management and trying to understand our HR, finance and procurement workflow, understanding what are those risk elements that we haven't considered before. So those are really really brand new opportunities and brand new way of looking at how do we want to customize the problem solving, and how do we want to bring forth that um, multifaceted approach of using AI. So it is the challenge that we see of not having the right kind of capacity or capability within our organizations. I think that's a journey that most of the industries are at.
Yeah, in many ways, it reminds me of the conversations we were having back in the big data years, which was, we know, developers, data scientists, limited, very specialized skill sets. We need to be able to, make it more available to more people there. You talked about some of the reskilling that's going on. In your organization or advice in general, sometimes when we talk about AI, there's this existential dread that, this is going to replace us, or, oh my God, where do I add value? From what I'm hearing from you so far there, it's more you see about taking advantage of these capabilities. They're extending what you're doing. They're going to make people more efficient. So maybe we could talk a little bit to that aspect of it.
See, I think AI is here to stay.
Yeah.
And for us, we do believe that how can we use or better utilize AI in not only building efficiencies within our operational workflows. We do see that AI organizational wide is going to give us different ways of tackling the problems that we face as an organization. Yeah, the way we see us address this challenge is, one, yes, there will be a primary concern. There will be this concept and the topic of AI bias, and the how do we address these bias, how do we govern these AI models better, how do we better understand where to use these AI technologies versus where we can sort of live with what we have, will continue to be sort of an assessment question. And we also see a reason for us to seamlessly integrate with what we are doing. Yeah, because we want to embed this AI enabled solutions with minimum disruption to what we do. So that way, we don't have to start something from scratch and then also disrupt the current technology lifecycle and the current enterprise data platforms that we are supporting with. Yeah. technologies like Copilot, like most of the generative AI models, they are looking at the Copilot as the opportunity to cross integrate or seamlessly integrate to your existing technology stack. And we do believe that that is going to bring a lot of effectiveness in the organization. The reason being that the Copilot clearly says that it's helpful to have somebody who's a coding agent, and somebody who can summarize your content better, an AI model that can give you the translation capabilities that most of our domain experts struggle with right now. So different units within our organization, be it our legal, be it our HR and procurement, they find this AI to be helpful co-pilot in the journey. And we want to continue to work with that kind of a modality, because having the human in the loop, or having the interaction of the human with the AI experience is far more of a priority in our responsible use of the AI, right? The responsible use of AI, especially in a context like ours. Our organization is a humanitarian organization. Humans come first, and we want to make sure that the functionalities that we are embedding within our organization has the human component baked in the design first. Yeah. And we also are very thoughtful that the solutions that we create doesn't hinder our individuals or the business functioning. And we want to make sure that we are making the best advantage of the technology solutions that we are creating. And also, we don't want to foster fear, and this is not going to take your job away, but actually we want domain experts to help us better train these AI models, so we can benefit out of the comprehensive capabilities that we get from these AI models. So I do believe that it's a mixed bag for the moment, and it is not 0 or 1. There is always a gray element that we all are trying to tackle. But governing these AI models and making sure that we operate with a human in the loop mindset, and also handling these models with a responsibility comes first, gives us the opportunity as an organization to leverage AI. Yeah. So what worked well so far is operating with this kind of principles too.
Yeah. So Anush, I love the principles that you're talking about there. We need to make sure, people first, we're taking care of that. How are you working on some of the education? Do you do workshops? What kind of feedback loops do you have from the people involved to make sure that we're kind of, recognizing any fear out there, or, running, if there's any challenges, getting that feedback back as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think the way we are looking at not only deploying these solutions or operationalizing this AI solutions that we're building, what worked well is for us to engage with our consumers, or the business stakeholders who we are engaged with, is to bring them from day one. We bring them along with us in this journey from day one. We design these approaches with a clear use case mindset. What I mean by that is we have created what we call as a 6-point frameworks too. What does this 6-point framework help us is, like, it's a clear one pager. It gives us the problem that, or the hypothesis that we are trying to solve, clear value of what it brings to the table, and also the impact and the risk of using the solution. Yeah, so that helps us put that one pager in front of us all the time when we come back to the drawing board. Hey, do we still want to go with this approach? Because all the AI models, end of the day, are probabilistic models. Yeah, some of them work very well, some of them needs a lot of improvement, and they are iterative in our journey. So this iterations takes a lot of time. So we want to make sure that we work with our stakeholder community from day one. And what does it do is that gives us that feedback mechanism that you're referring to, wherein these iterations and the agile mindset of building out these solutions with the user community involved, gives us not only the opportunity to fine tune the functionality of the solution, but also gives us to retain the knowledge, and it gives us the opportunity to train them as we go along. And yes, of course, there needs to be a lot of hand holding once we make the production ready solution, but making sure that bringing them along the journey from day zero has worked out very well, and it also gives us the possibility that we learn from each other. Yeah, we have a lot to learn from our stakeholder community too.
Yeah, so that's such a great point, how we learn from each other. So you talked a bit about open source, you talked about cloud. When you look at kind of the technology community itself, what asks do you have from the community, from your suppliers out there? If you look out kind of the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be so much rapid innovation happening. Any feedback or guidance that you would give to the community as a whole as to what you and your community are looking for, that you will hope will deliver during that time?
Yeah. What I see as a perhaps this transformative journey that we are all at, right, Stu, is that in order for us to pursue this complex journey, we definitely need not only our stakeholders champions or our cloud champions, we also need our partner champions. Yeah, so what I mean by partner champions is the vendors or the technology partners who we work with. We want to make sure that they are with us in this journey for a long time. Yeah, so because we as an organization, our focus is to deliver better outcomes not only for the organization but for the people and the planet. Yeah, so it's not a marathon, it's more of a marathon than not a sprint. So we want to make sure that we bring our partners who champion us in this journey. And what do we mean by champion is that we want our technology partners to be aligned with not only the UN value system, but also the costs of why we are using this data and how we are driving insight and impact. And we want to make sure that we are operating with high integrity. So those are the sort of principles that we look for in our vendor partners. And increasingly so, we see that we need more partners in this journey for us to tackle large scale and big data problems. So we need we can take all the help we can get. So
Yeah, it absolutely is a community, and as we said, there's a lot of change going on here. Yeah, so apologies. It looks like your video is going a little bit wonky on us, but luckily your audio has been solid for us here. So Anusha, yeah, wanted to thank you so much for joining us. I'll give you the final word. You know, what's exciting you about the kind of the opportunity that we have, you know, going forward for kind of the next year or two in this space?
What keeps me up all night? That is a very interesting question, Stu. What keeps me up all night is that I think it is the simple idea that we can use data not only to bring value to the organization, but also value to the people who we serve. So our mandate is very clear, as you rightly put it, right? Like, how can we be the foundational guide for a global and be the global force for good, and how do we want to accelerate this data driven transformation for not only for us as UNICC, but also for everyone and everywhere. And see, our ambitions are very high, and these ambitions keeps us awake at night.
All right. Well, Anusha, thank you so much for joining us. Again, great to see, you know, where you've gone, and, you know, lots of interesting things will happen going forward. as I mentioned at the top of the show, please come back and join us December 14th when we have Red Hat's CEO to talk about many of the same topics that we talked about today. If you've got ideas on topics or guests that we should be having on the program in 2024, please feel free to shoot me a note. Email is just stu@redhat.com. Final thing, I will also be at the AWS reInvent show the week after Thanksgiving in Las Vegas. So if you're there, please look me up, and looking forward to being with 60, 70,000 other people that are super excited as to the opportunities that are still happening on the cloud. So until next time, thank you once again for joining us on your journey in the clouds.